Guys, I wanted to make a video after watching the finale of Rebels and how I think the characters in Star Wars Rebels could be connected to the characters in the main series like Rey, Luke, Leia, and other characters from the main movie series. I also want to talk about some theories and some possibilities that could happen with Episode 9 and the future of Star Wars after watching the ending of Star Wars Rebels. So if you haven't watched Star Wars Rebels, I'll give a brief summary of who the characters are from the show so you can get an understanding of who they are, and I'll explain why I think they could be connected to characters from the main series. So I'm going to start with Rey and how I think Rey could be connected to characters from Star Wars Rebels, especially characters like Sabine and Bo-Katan. I've mentioned this before in my other videos, but I want to talk about it in this one. So, Obi-Wan had a love affair with a Mandalorian queen named Satine. Obi-Wan had a love affair with Satine on a mission that he was with Qui-Gon, and it was like an extended mission on Mandalore, and they were protecting Satine. And this happened when he was younger, before the events of Phantom Menace. So, if Obi-Wan and Satine had a child, and Rey is the granddaughter of Obi-Wan and Satine, the former Mandalorian queen, that would make Rey a Mandalorian. Sabine is a Mandalorian, and Sabine also has connections with Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan is Satine's sister, and Sabine gave Bo-Katan the Darksaber in Star Wars Rebels, and Bo-Katan became queen and the leader of the Mandalorians. So, if Rey is the granddaughter of Obi-Wan and Satine, that means Bo-Katan would have been Rey's aunt. So Sabine would have known Rey's family. She knew Bo-Katan, and I've talked about this in some of my other videos. Sabine would be the perfect character to bring into Episode 9 to explain about Rey's past. There was an old interview where they said that characters from Star Wars Rebels were going to appear in future films and future storylines of Star Wars. In Rogue One, they had Saw Gerrera, and his character was introduced in Clone Wars, the animated show first, and he also was in Star Wars Rebels. And Chopper, the little droid, orange droid, he's on Star Wars Rebels. He was featured in Rogue One, and also Hera's ship, the Ghost, was featured in the movie Rogue One as well. Sabine would also be the perfect age of a character to bring in Episode 9. She obviously would be an older woman, but my guess is she's around the same age as Leia. Sabine and the main characters from Star Wars Rebels, they worked with Leia. They helped Leia. They knew Leia, and the Mandalorians helped the Rebel Alliance in Star Wars Rebels. After Sabine gives Bo-Katan the Darksaber and Bo-Katan becomes the queen and leader of the Mandalorians, she rallies the Mandalorians together to fight against the Empire and to aid the Rebel Alliance. Now, at the end of The Last Jedi, the Resistance people were like, where are our allies? And I think their allies are the Mandalorians that helped Leia during the war against the Empire. And I think their allies are also the characters from Star Wars Rebels. And in The Last Jedi, they talked about how their allies lived in the Outer Rim. Mandalorians live in the Outer Rim. Sabine's character had a heavy presence in the finale of Star Wars Rebels. The ending focused a lot on Sabine. And in the ending of Rebels, they show an epilogue. And the epilogue is post-war. It's after the rebels have defeated the Empire. Now, in the finale of Rebels, Ezra tells Sabine, there's something that you have to do. There's something I need you to do. There's something you need to take care of. And in the epilogue, Sabine says that she thought what Ezra wanted her to do was to take care of Lothal. And she says in the epilogue, but there's something more to it. Then Sabine says that it's time for her to bring Ezra home. Now, I don't think what Ezra wanted Sabine to do was just to bring him home. Like, I don't think when he was telling her there's something you gotta do, I don't think he was talking about himself. I wonder if whatever Ezra wanted Sabine to do connects to the main movie series. Before Ezra was hyperspaced in the finale of Star Wars Rebels, he says he had a vision. Now, we know that his vision was about the events that happened in Star Wars Rebels, in the ending, and Thrawn and all that. But maybe his vision also included things from the future. So maybe what Ezra wanted Sabine to do, maybe that has something to do with Rey. Maybe protect the offspring of Obi-Wan. And Ezra did meet Obi-Wan in an episode of Star Wars Rebels. Maybe her mission was to guard Obi-Wan's offspring. Or maybe that's for later. Maybe at some point later in the story, Sabine watches out for Obi-Wan's offspring. That could even happen after Sabine and Ahsoka find Ezra, because there is a huge time gap from post-war, after they defeat the Empire, to the time of Force Awakens. So maybe at some point, Sabine watches out for Bo-Katan and the son or daughter of Obi-Wan and Satine. She helps protect them. Another reason why I think there is a link between Sabine and Rey is the marketing. For the merchandise, Rey is always next to Sabine. I know they're part of the Forces of Destiny collection, and at first, I didn't think anything of it. But for all the merchandise and all the merchandise with Forces of Destiny, Rey is always placed next to Sabine. I feel like placement is very important in Star Wars, especially when it comes to marketing. And whenever I go into a store and I see the dolls that Star Wars sells, the dolls, and I see Sabine is always next to Rey. It doesn't matter what store I'm in, she is always next to her. And usually toys or merchandise are organized in a way for a reason. I also want to talk about this image for Forces of Destiny. Before this image, we got Maz in the middle, Sabine is next to Rey, Leia is next to Rey, and then Ahsoka is next to Leia, and she is also next to Padme. So Ahsoka is in between Leia and Padme, and next to Sabine, besides Rey, is Jyn. So it makes sense that Ahsoka is in the middle of Leia and Padme, because Ahsoka knew Leia's mother, Padme, and was friends with her. She viewed Padme like a mother. And maybe Ahsoka will learn that Leia is a Skywalker. Ahsoka is alive. She was shown alive during the time period where the rebels defeated the Empire. And I'm going to talk more about that later in this video. We got Jyn next to Sabine because Jyn was also a rebel. In every image, Rey is always next to Sabine. I feel like that has significance. I feel like there is a connection between Rey and Sabine. And I feel like Sabine is going to have a very important role in the future storylines of Star Wars. So let's move on to Ahsoka. So at the end of Star Wars Rebels, Ahsoka is alive. And in the epilogue, Ahsoka shows up to get Sabine for them to go find Ezra. And this is during the peacetime. This is when they have defeated the Empire. So there is a chance that Ahsoka could meet Luke. Ahsoka was Anakin's apprentice, so she could be the bridge. She could be the one that tells Luke and Leia everything that had happened, all the things that happened with Anakin, the things that happened with the Jedi. And not only did Ahsoka have a close relationship with Anakin, she also had a close relationship with Padme. In The Last Jedi, when Luke was talking about how the Jedi had failed and all of that, maybe Ahsoka told him a lot of things that happened. Like, yeah, Luke talked to Obi-Wan, and we don't see if Obi-Wan tells him more details about the Clone Wars and all that, maybe he did off screen. And it's the same thing with Yoda. We don't know if maybe Yoda told Luke more of the things that had happened with the Jedi and the fall of the Jedi and with Anakin and all of that. But I feel like Ahsoka is such a perfect character to go into real detail about everything that had happened. Even though Yoda and Obi-Wan can talk to Luke as Force ghosts, we don't know how often that happens. Like, I don't think that Force ghosts just show up every day. I don't think you can just call up a Force ghost and talk. So I don't think Yoda and Obi-Wan are telling him everything. So it makes me wonder a couple things. Did Ahsoka and Ezra help Luke rebuild the Jedi? Because Ezra and Ahsoka are both alive. Even though Ezra is missing right now at this point of the story, they're gonna find him. So it makes me wonder, do they help Luke restore the Jedi? Because in the expanded universe stuff before Force Awakens and these new movies, there were other characters that helped Luke rebuild the Jedi Order, a new Jedi Order. And I assume at this point that Ahsoka knows that Luke is Anakin's son because the name Skywalker suggests in the Clone Wars animated series, and it suggests in the Ahsoka novel, that Ahsoka suspected that Padme and Anakin were in a relationship, but she did not know about them having children. She didn't know about Luke and Leia. In the Ahsoka novel, when Bail Organa is talking to Ahsoka, Bail Organa thinks about how the way Ahsoka talks about Padme and Anakin, that she had a feeling that she knew that they were in a relationship. But he doesn't tell her about the children. He doesn't tell her about Luke and Leia. So I would absolutely love to see Ahsoka talk to Luke. I would love to see Ahsoka talk to Luke and Leia about Padme and Anakin, about their parents. And because it's animation, it can be done. We can have a young Luke, a young Leia, and original actors have voiced the characters on Star Wars Rebels. Ian McDiarmid returned to voice Palpatine, James Earl Jones returned to voice Vader, and Billy D. Williams returned to voice Lando. So if Mark Hamill returned as Luke and voiced Luke, that would be so amazing to watch the interactions between Ahsoka and Luke with Mark Hamill's voice, because he is Luke. So something that I really want to see, that is like my personal wish that I would love to happen, is to see Ahsoka talk to Anakin, and Anakin is talking to Ahsoka as a Force ghost. I would absolutely love to see Anakin as a Force ghost talking to Ahsoka, and he calls her Snips. Because in Clone Wars, that was her nickname. She was called Snips. It would be so awesome to see Ahsoka talk to Anakin as a Force ghost, and for her to realize that he redeemed himself, that he died redeeming himself. And a lot of storylines that have happened with Ahsoka are very similar to what has happened in the new series, the new film series. For instance, there is a scene that happens between Ahsoka and Anakin that is very similar to the scene in The Last Jedi, even though the scene with Ahsoka and Anakin is not a romantic context because he viewed Ahsoka like a daughter. The scene is very similar. At the end of the Clone Wars, Ahsoka gets framed and then her name gets cleared and she's proven innocent. Because Ahsoka's name is cleared, she's proven innocent, the Jedi say that she can come back to the Order, and Anakin asks her to come back to the Order. He says, "I'm asking you back," and this dark music is played during the scene, and Ahsoka looks at him and she says, "I'm sorry, Master." Anakin begs for her to stay, but Ahsoka says she can't and that she has to leave, and Anakin says he understands, and he understands because he wants to walk away from the Jedi Order. So in this scene with Ahsoka and Anakin, Anakin is wearing the glove. He's wearing that black glove. When Kylo extends his hand out to Rey and asks her to join him, he's wearing a black glove. So that damn glove is a symbol, it's a motif of the power of the side that's not human of the character. I didn't catch it until I watched The Last Jedi for the second time in theaters with the scene with Luke. When Luke thinks about killing Kylo, he looks down at his hand and he is wearing a black glove. And that scene when Luke thinks about killing Kylo is so similar to that scene in The Return of the Jedi when Luke thinks about killing Vader and he looks down at his hand. He looks down at that black glove. So when I rewatched Clone Wars, I was like, it's that damn glove. It's that damn black glove. They need to just stop wearing gloves. So I want to talk about how I think Ahsoka could be connected to Rey. So Ahsoka didn't just have a connection to Anakin. She also had a connection to Obi-Wan and to Satine and to Bo-Katan. If Obi-Wan and Satine had a child, maybe Ahsoka found out about it and made sure that their child was kept safe. Or maybe Ahsoka was involved with hiding Rey. Maybe Ahsoka sensed or had a vision that Snoke was going to try to use Rey for her power and hid Rey. Maybe it was a group of individuals, including Ahsoka and maybe Sabine too, that kept Rey safe. Which I think would be such an awesome twist if Ahsoka kind of became like an Obi-Wan-like figure. Ahsoka could even still be alive during the time of Force Awakens in The Last Jedi. I mean, she would be old, but with aliens and stuff, they tend to age slower. So there is a chance that Ahsoka could even meet Rey. We could see Ahsoka meet Rey after the main series is over in an expanded universe storyline. I also think it'd be cool if she met Kylo because he is Anakin's grandson and his real name is Ben and he's named after Obi-Wan. And Ahsoka had a close relationship with Anakin and Obi-Wan. So let's move on to Ezra. Like I said before, Ezra and Ahsoka could help Luke to restart his Jedi Order, or maybe Ahsoka and Ezra create a different group full of Force users, because there seems like there's a lot of different groups and it's been implied in different Star Wars mediums. So at the end of Rebels, Ezra hyperspaced with Thrawn, and I think they are in the unknown regions. Now, I haven't read the Last Jedi novelization yet because when I went to Barnes & Noble, that was the closest to me. The book wasn't there. I had heard from internet buzz that it suggested in the book that Snoke and Luke were once allies. I don't know if the book tells where Snoke is from specifically, like what part of the galaxy, but I have a hunch that he is from the unknown regions, and I think that was implied before. And I have a theory that Ezra and Thrawn are going to run into Snoke in the unknown regions. There are other characters from Rebels that could be connected to main characters from the main film series and could have a role in main character storylines and future storylines of Star Wars. Rex is still alive. If you don't know who Rex is, he was a clone and he served under Anakin. So that's another character that is connected to Luke. Rex could talk to Luke and Leia about their father, and Rex, I assume, just like the same thing of Ahsoka, I assume he would know that Luke is Anakin's son at this point when he hears the name Skywalker. Don't know what has happened to Bo-Katan at the end of Rebels. We know that she and the other Mandalorians were going to fight along the rebellion, along the rebels, but we don't know what has happened to her after that. We don't see her again. We don't see Mandalore at the end of Rebels. So Dave Filoni left a lot open. He left a lot of opportunities and possibilities for Star Wars future storylines. There were a couple of interviews recently with Dave Filoni where he was saying that everything was connected. He said that when they were making Star Wars Rebels, they weren't making it like, oh, it's a kid show or it's an animated show or like its own island, like it's its own thing. He said that they wanted it to connect with everything and that it is a Star Wars story. He said that he wanted to tell storylines, he wanted to tell stories that had George Lucas's vision. Dave Filoni worked with George Lucas on Clone Wars, and they wrote a lot of the episodes and story ideas for that show together. In one of the Star Wars Rebel episodes, they have all the voices from all the different characters speak, and all the voices are heard. Ezra's in this temple, and he hears characters' voices from different Star Wars mediums. So from the Clone Wars television show, from Rebels, but also from the films. You hear Yoda's voice from the movies. You hear Obi-Wan's voice from the original series. You hear Maz, and you also hear Kylo and Rey. He said that he wanted all those characters' voices to be heard, so to prove that this is all connected, this isn't random. Definitely think the events that happen in Rebels are going to have an effect on Episode 9 and future Star Wars movies. At the end of Rebels, we find out in the epilogue that Hera had a child. She had a son with Kanan, and Kanan, if you don't know who he is, he was a Jedi. So I feel like Hera having a son with Kanan, having a love child with him, is proof that love children do exist in Star Wars, and Obi-Wan could have had a love child with Satine. I also feel like Hera having Kanan's son is proof that Anakin is not the only Jedi to have children. I also think the ending of Rebels was foreshadowing the Return of the Jedi, because the characters talk about how the Jedi represented hope, and I believe the Jedi will come back. I think they will be great Jedi. I think they're going to be new Jedi that can marry and have kids and all that, but I definitely think the Jedi will be back. So after watching Star Wars Rebels, the ending was not predictable in a good way. They didn't kill Ezra, which would have been the predictable way. And I honestly thought they were going to kill him, but they didn't, which I was happy about that. And I was pleasantly surprised that Hera had a son with Kanan. I wasn't expecting that either. So I feel like Episode 9 isn't going to do predictable things, and that will be good after watching the ending of Star Wars Rebels. If you guys watch my videos, you know how scared I am that they're going to kill Kylo in Episode 9. But I'm a little bit more confident, not totally, but I'm a little bit more confident that he won't die, because Star Wars Rebels didn't do the predictable thing, and killing Kylo would be predictable. And like I said before, they didn't kill Ezra, and killing Ezra would have been an easy way out. That would have been the predictable thing. J.J. Abrams had said that he contacted Pablo Hidalgo a lot. He asked him a lot of questions while he was working on Force Awakens. And I'm pretty sure he also met with Dave Filoni and that they collaborated. So because Star Wars Rebels ending was good, I have a little bit more faith that Episode 9 will connect things and do some things that aren't predictable, but in a good way. So I'm really excited about all the future possibilities and future Star Wars storylines. If you guys have any theories, please share them with me. I'd love to hear from you guys. If you guys enjoyed my video, please give it a big thumbs up. Please like it, and please subscribe. Other Star Wars news involving Ahsoka. Ashley Eckstein, the voice actress for Ahsoka, and she also created the brand Her Universe, which is sold at Hot Topic. She is publishing a book. It comes out May 8th. It's called Your Universe, and I'm so excited. It's one of those don't give up on your dreams and inspiring other people books. I love reading books like that, so I can't wait to read it. Also, I went to Disney World not too long ago, and I went to Disney Hollywood Studios, and you can see where they are building things for a Galaxy's Edge. I'm so excited, and I geeked out when they had the little backdrop of the Millennium Falcon, and I cannot wait. I have wanted a Star Wars land for the longest time since I was a kid. I always wanted more Star Wars attractions, so I cannot wait. If you are excited about Galaxy's Edge like me, let me know in the comment section below. Or if there's anything happening in the Star Wars world right now that is exciting to you, please share with me what that is in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. And may the Force be with you.